Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave and a happy November 1st to everyone out there in cryptocurrency land. Yes, we have a new monthly. My God, happy Halloween, by the way, as well. If you're still celebrating Halloween, or maybe you celebrate Halloween every goddamn day, well, then happy Thursday to you. Anyways, before we get started, I've been getting a lot of emails about this. A lot of people have been asking about the options program, the new options program. Yes, it is available for current members of the technical analysis program. I'm happy to give you guys early access. Apparently, that message didn't get sent out in the way that I thought it was going to. So please, if you are interested in that, please do reach out to me. I would like to give you a nice discount, and I'd also like to give you some nice new indicator as well. If you're familiar with this, with the Krown trading stochastic, it is like that, but in my opinion, I honestly think it's better. However, let's get into the charts right over here. Less about me, more about Mr. Bitcoin, and that is my speaking of options right over there. Let's get into the Bitcoins over here. Let's go to the daily, and of course, with the new monthly, we do have a few things to talk about. The big support that has never been, or sorry, that I need to see hold still has not been broken. So as long as we're above this area right here, 6150, don't want to be getting too damn bearish, or at least having directional bearish trades. By the same token, we have held this support right over here, 6250, right over here, and the resistance, or sorry, the support that we broke down from coming into Monday, that has held as resistance so far on this little pumpy guy right over here. So again, I just want to take a second to speak on, hey, when markets come down like this, I want to be so damn adamant in saying this. Directional trades are not the best thing to be doing, because not only are you, well, you're just waiting, and you might be right, you might be wrong, and there's really just been no direction, but you're also incurring another cost that I think a lot of people don't really take into account. And if you want to be a professional trader, you want to do this as a living, you really need to start considering opportunity costs. What are you giving up by being stuck in a trade right here when you could be in something that's actually moving, or maybe trading another asset, or maybe trading options? Again, right now, I mean, I've just been trading options as I kind of showed at the beginning of this right here. Still got some fucked up variation of a strangle over here that I'm slowly building up, but it's decaying way more than I thought it would. For the people in the technical analysis, or sorry, in the options program, you know exactly what I'm doing and what I'm talking about over there, and why I love that position. But right here, right now, Bitcoin just kind of filling out this range. Yes, we did pump this guy up yesterday, and yes, there was some good bullish divergence, especially on the 3 hour over here. Some pretty damn strong bullish divergence, holding the 21 exponential on the 3 hour as well. Pretty well. But again, as long as you're below 63.50, it's it's hard to have a directional trade over here. The trade to be made was really buying the support and then bouncing off of that, realizing that we had some bullish divergence. We talked about all this stuff during over the last couple days. So hey man, if you've been taking those trades, fucking phenomenally done, because that's the best thing to be doing right now. That's the best thing to be doing. Holding directional trades is, in this market, is it's just, it hasn't been profitable for really either side. I mean, I guess obviously more for the bear side than the bull side, but when it comes down to this, we're just kind of filling out these small ranges, and at the end of the day, still very low volume activity. Even with this pump up yesterday, still not that impressive. The daily closing on relatively small volume, nothing to really write home about. If we're gonna have a break, I need to see something analogous to like this volume or this volume, and the more the better, really, because remember that you have to keep in context what the volume was done on. Over here, when Bitcoin's price was about double what we're dealing with right now, the volume was even higher as well, and the volume is actually measured in coins traded, not necessarily dollars traded. So that would be it just adds on like another multiplier effect to what we're looking at over here when price action is actually about half the size. So again, still very, 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 very low volume action. Now there are a few things to talk about. Okay, so again, no major levels being broken on yesterday's pump up. Still very low volume pump up as well. Nice long wick to the downside, so it does look like a nice hunt to me. But when we are talking about institutional order flow, and going back to the people in the technical analysis program, when we are talking about institutional order flow and liquidity pools, essentially, you want to see that move away relatively fast. Right now, we're kind of spending a lot of time in this range. I need to see this take up, honestly, by the end of the day. If we don't have another move up by the end of the day, this is just going to look like more rangy, price action to me. But hey, if we are able to break 63.50 by the end of the day, then yes, I would start to say, yep, that looks like a hunt to me, and probably time to hold a little bit of a long, just as a defensive position, if not anything else. Again, overall, nothing's changed from the higher time frame. Still, you got to look at this with a bearish interpretation. But hey, if you were to break above 63.50, don't see much stopping you from about 64.60ish area. And if things were able to get a little bit more crazy above there, I wouldn't see much stopping you from about 67.50. So a lot of things to be aware of over here. Now, I do want to point this out. We've been kind of fucking around with this idea. Sorry, wrong thing over here. There we go. Back to the daily. Yep. Okay, here we go. So we've been kind of fucking around with this idea of the smaller descending triangle right here, right? The smaller descending triangle, right? And we kind of broke out like mid last week, it looks like. Yeah, something like that, about a week ago. But again, you know, was it a real breakout or not? Well, not really, because you want to see a major volume spike in order to accompany that move. We didn't get anything of the sort. In fact, there was no interest. It was what it looks like to me, just very, 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 very low volume action before falling back down and testing this support right here, the former breakout trend line, which is also a nice horizontal support. So I really do like that for good confluence, and that's why most of the time I don't really care about a diagonal, because it should match up with the horizontal just by the nature of it. And the horizontals in my experience are more I don't want to say dependable, that's the wrong word, but I have better success with them is probably the better way of relating it. Anyways, bouncing off this area right here, but again, very, 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 very low volume action. But it is still kind of offering up some, you know, looks like some people are playing this right now. Again, underneath all major moving averages right now, you can see that even yesterday's daily dildo getting rejected by the 10 simple. I mean, do you want to call that a rejection or not? I'll just call it a nice Darth Maul. It's like Darth Maul turned good saber over here. Darth Maul dildo just turning green. But you know, testing the support and then testing the resistance. And closing somewhere between. So I do want to see if we are going to take this onwards and upwards. I actually want to see this I do want to see this taken up relatively soon. But again, as it stands, all time frames, nothing's changed. You know, we daily Stokes over here, they are hinting at a cross up, a little bit of lost momentum, but still hasn't done it just yet. RSI still in the bearish zone. Not really much to say about this over here. Maybe we come back and test the exponential. Maybe test the end of the bearish zone with the, you know, coinciding with the test of these guys right over here. But overall, you know, not really, it's a little bit too early to call. I need to see this level shattered with massive volume. Otherwise, just going to be another failed attempt. What about the 2-day over here? 2-day Stokes still crawling down, and we did just get a new tick on this chart over here. 2-day still pretty damn bearish. You know, we still have the death cross over here. We're still using the 21 exponential and the 10 simple as resistance, and living well below everything. So again, you know, we only have one example of this even happening in Bitcoin's almost 10-year history, which is actually now official 10-year history. Right over here in 2014, very, 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 very similar action as you have the death cross right here. You test the death cross over here, and you spend a lot of time going sideways along the yellow 21 in a very similar price action, right? And very, 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 very similar price action right over here, and then eventually fall into your ultimate red dildo capitulation death. So going back now over here to the more recent times, 2018 is what I'm talking about. You know, as long as we're kind of below this area, yes, I do lean more to the bear side, just because that is what analysis is. That's just what technical analysis is. It's a more probabilistic resolution of this setup right now. Does it mean that's always going to happen? No, it doesn't at all. In fact, I mean, it does mean it's going to happen more often than not. But again, you know, I do have to lean towards the downside, just because that is where the probabilities lie. Again, this is, you know, I wish Bitcoin would just be in an uptrend, because my life would be a lot easier. I mean, this is what I do for a fucking living. So again, just wanted to quickly, just wanted, you know, I don't want to be a fucking bear, but when the charts are kind of aligned like this, well, it makes it hard to be bullish. Anyways, 3-day dildo chart over here, still kind of right at that 200 exponential, the purple line, which you actually can barely see over here. We did close the last 3-day dildo below the 200 exponential, actually healthily below, about 35 bucks below. So if this next one closes below, then we will have the first 3-day dildo both opening and closing below the 200 exponential, the purple line right over here. Again, we haven't done that at all whatsoever, even remotely close, except for 2014. I just get sorry about that. It's probably annoying to listen to, but again, you know, once this 200 exponential got above price action, that was, you know, that was your big resistance. What happened after you got back up? What happened right after price action got back above it and started using it as support? Well, You tell me. That was actually the beginning of the bull market for the next 3 years. So again, this is what I'm worried about. And with Bitcoin kind of hanging down around here, this is something to be very, 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 very aware of. Again, below all major moving averages over here, not the most pretty of all of all setups. And if we go to the weekly, same sort of thing. Nothing's changed from the weekly. Still living below all major moving averages. Still got this very nasty crossover here, which is gaining momentum away from each other and well below the 10 simple. Even with this action right now. Let's go check out the monthly because we do have a new tick on the monthly, and the monthly is very important. Now, the monthly did hold the yellow 21 exponential moving average, which is extremely important to me because the yellow 21 on the monthly is kind of like my litmus test for generally bullish, generally bearish. And I probably repeat this too many times, so it's getting annoying for the people who listen to this. But there are a few things to be aware of over here. The 10 simple, the red 10 simple, has actually lost a little bit of its slope. So this would be a little bit more, yes, it still doesn't look good. Don't get me wrong. It does not look good, but it kind of takes the pressure off, so to say. So when it comes down to it, I do look at this and it really starts to make that possibility of going sideways for a prolonged period of time and kind of capitulating that way a lot more of a reality. Now, I want to bring up this as well. This weekly dildo chart over here on Stamp, which has my dotted trend line, the one that the red arrow is pointing to, that is the 10-year logarithmic trend line of Bitcoin. That's never been broken all the way from the genesis of Bitcoin on Bitstamp. And where would that be approaching price action now? Well, it's rising over time, right? Right now, it would be approaching at right around 5,200. But at some point in time, if Bitcoin can actually hold it steady around here, it will reach current price action, and that would actually be at the end of 2018, quite literally the last day of 2018. Right over here, it will be this is December 31st. It'll be the low of this support would be 6,100. So that is a possibility, especially when Bitcoin is kind of holding it relatively steady. The bears had a big chance last night, and to not see them really pounce on that opportunity, or I don't know what bears do, like do they claw or something? Or, I don't know, maybe they butt fuck it. No, that's a terrible thing to say, Krown. Jesus Christ, man, this is a family channel, and I shouldn't be saying shit like that. Anyways, a really, really strong chance right here, and they didn't take it. It was right there. All they had to do was break 6150, which is also your yellow 21 exponential moving average, and not taken. Taken, like that silly movie. Has anyone ever noticed in the movie Taken that the girls are always running in that movie? Like always. They never walk. They are always running off and doing whatever. It's so strange. Anyway, they should have ran when those goddamn guys came in and take them. But then again, you don't have a fucking movie. That's a whole problem with Hollywood. you have to really disallow logic for a while. Anyways, this is getting so off track. Anyways, this yellow 21 exponential moving average still acting as support, but the second that you get below it is the second that I become very, 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 very bearish, looking for mid to low 4,000s, and then probably even further than that. But again, until we actually formally break it, until we formally break 6,100 on heavy volume, the opportunity cost is not to be with that trade. Again, I don't want to end up like Tony Vase over there with you already know. So yeah. Just looking at this, not the most, it's still not bullish or anything like that, but it does loosen the grip. It does really offer up that potential idea of maybe just going sideways for a prolonged period of time. Maybe you get one of these guys over here, like a three-line strike, kind of just, boom, 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 low volume action, and then boom, up. Could that be what we're doing over here? It's possible. It's potential idea, but we're gonna have to rally back above about 80, well above 88,000, for that to be what's going on over here. So in the lower time frames, obviously we'll get a we'll get a glimpse of what's happening much before that, I'd imagine. I mean, very, very likely, you're gonna have to get through 7,400 first. So if Bitcoin were to kind of crawl its way back above this former high over here at about 7,400, I would really start to change my tune, and I really start to consider that the low is pretty much in. But again, it's of course it's not like I can't fully say that until you're back above about 10,000, but it really diminish that possibility or that probability, a lot more. So again, of course, before that, you'd have to deal with this guy right here at about 6,750, which is very important because not only is it 6,750, that former kind of consolidation area, but it would also be the high of this ascending triangle over here, which would be, yes, right around here as price action currently approaches it. Actually, somewhere right around here, yeah, around 6,750-ish area. Also, you'd have to deal with your purple 200 exponential. which has been holding price action back for quite some time. So again, a lot of things to consider over here, but that's what really would make me start to consider, the low perhaps is in. But for right here, right now, I would still play defensively. Again, I'm not really taking any sort of trade, any sort of directional trades. I'm just playing options. So again, if you're in the options program, you know what I'm trying to do over here. I'm trying to build this position up to about 20 contracts on both sides. It's turning into a fucked up strangle because these 7,000 calls they just collapsed on the last down. Like $100 move collapsed them. It's absolutely great, man. If you're wondering why I'm so excited about options in cryptocurrency, because the market makers have no fucking idea how to price these things. So the potential and the potential for profit is just fucking phenomenal right now if you can get filled, which can be a little bit of an issue. And then I kind of have like a fucked up put spread to the downside over here, which I'll work on. But right here, right now, don't really need to. It's not really the first thing on my mind as after you put in a nice Darth Maul dildo like this. Going over here to the total market cap, again, not my favorite way of doing things, as it's a very crude way to analyze this whole market. But again, you are kind of holding this guy right here. Is this a falling wedge? Kind of not. I wouldn't really say that. I would say that this is a little bit more likely on what you're doing right here. Which would be some variation of a triangle, a symmetrical triangle coming off of a nice downtrend, typically called a bear pennant. But overall, can break out either which way. Again, I don't like putting, I've seen everything fucking break out any way that they're not supposed to. I wouldn't necessarily say this is going to break out to the downside, but technically speaking, it's more likely to when you're speaking on probabilities. But I'd be waiting for a dildo to close above or below this area right here that I just kind of cordoned off, and that would be convincing to me. We can make a measure move on this. However, I don't know how accurate this is going to be. Again, the total market cap is including every little last shitcoin that's ever existed in the cryptocurrency scheme. And it'd be pointing you up here if you broke it to the upside, and if you broke it to the downside, well, you'd actually be pointed to perhaps this lower guy right around here. Yeah, look at that. Oh, you got that lovely symmetry in this chart. So maybe you do thought this wedgish formation. Furthermore, which would also line up with a nice horizontal coming back from this price action over here. We can see, yeah. Here it looks like a little bit lower. Let's see if that lines up. Oh my god, it's perfect. Well, it's not necessarily perfectly perfect, but good enough is good enough. Anyways, not my first way of doing things, but that would be it's going to be the first thing to break out if anything does break out. Again, total market cap, a very crude way to calculate this sort of shit. It's just the last price multiplied by the circulating supply. So is that really representative of what's going on in this market? Not really. Let's go check out GBTC over here. How did GBTC do? Close the day up actually. Decent reaction, really nasty down over here, acting as a leading indicator for Bitcoin as Bitcoin put itself down as well, but closing the day up. And do we have some good buying over here? Let's kind of scroll out. Let's see. Nothing to write home about, but also if it were to crawl back above this area right here, $6.80 and close today back above there, that would start to look a lot more like a little bit of a bear trap to me. Again, a low volume kind of hang as you make new lows and then quick, move up. That would be a bear trap in the way that I look at it, in the way that I want to see one and be convinced of one. Of course, we got Dixie over here, the dollar index. If you're not familiar with it, this thing is breaking out. This is pretty interesting to me because if the dollar index breaks out, then that would just imply by the nature of it that Bitcoin is going to be less value in relation to the dollar because the dollar value is going up, right? Remember, it's Bitcoin versus the dollar, and the dollar does move. And this is a clear breakout to me. Everything looks good. We have RSI just getting into the bullish zone over here. This is looking very nice. And, technically speaking, is this an inverted head and shoulders? Well, we can't see volume on this, but it does look like one. And my measure move would be pointing us all the way around here, around a $1.03, a $1.04, which would be right around this former high. So that would kind of make sense from a good symmetrical perspective. Overall, though, I like what I see, and it is something worth considering, especially if you're trading other markets right now. The dollar is mooning essentially. Yeah, you do have some resistance along the way. Yeah, it's not going to be like, a straight fucking shot there, but overall these things move a little bit slower, or perhaps I shouldn't say that compared to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin moves pretty fucking slow right now. But hey, overall looking good to me. Let's go check out the volatility index for Bitcoin. Again, still very low historically speaking. Even though we did have a little bit of movement yesterday, really to put it in perspective, this is, it's nothing, especially when you do linear scale rather than log. It's well below, it's like half of the mean. it's like a half below of the mean, essentially, is what I'm trying to say, if that even makes sense. Anyways, putting this guy back on and going over here to, let's go check out Mr. Buterol. How's Mr. Buterol doing? Let's go to like a 4 hour. Yeah, Mr. Buterol over here, really looking a little bit better than Bitcoin itself, but flagging out. Although it's lost a 4 hour 21 exponential moving average, I don't like that. So if you do fail around here, then what is this going to morph into? Well, it's going to morph into some sort of an ascending broadening wedge, which would have a bearish twist to it. So I really don't like how you've almost immediately given up the 21 exponential right here. That's not what I want to see. I want to see it hold above there. That's what I was looking for yesterday to kind of get into a nice long position. But Bitcoin and Mr. Buterol giving it up over here. So I don't necessarily like that. Now, of course, it's not a death sentence or anything like that. I mean, obviously, this price action is probably better than, it's better than nothing. But hey, if you break back down below about 62.80ish area, then that will start to look, kind of suspect. So again, with this sort of dildo right here, I really want to see it kind of lift off, relatively fast in order for me to be convinced of a nice hunt. Instead, we're really kind of drooping back down again and wasting time. So yes, I'd give it like another day and a half. But if you fail to break back above this area right here at about 63.50 in the next day and a half, I'm gonna start to get a little bit apprehensive again. And again, I wouldn't be taking a directional trade until we break 61.50. But it just doesn't look too strong. Not too, maybe just another failed bounce. I mean, every one of these bounces gets a degree worse, right? This first bounce over here, 6,000. The second bounce, 3,000. This third bounce, 2,000. This fourth bounce, 1,000. This fifth bounce, 500. This last bounce we had was 250 from top to bottom if you don't use the wick over here, which I think is which is, in my opinion, is the correct way to be doing it. And perhaps this last bounce over here is going to be 150 from bottom to top, right? 6,200 low and 63.50 high. I mean, again, I'm not you're probably seeing a pattern here, but is that the right way to be doing it? It's definitely not my first way of doing this thing, but hey, it is worth considering. Still very, 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 very low volume action in the overall grand scheme of things. Do we have anything else to talk about? Well, I think that probably covers it up for now. Let's go over the lower time frames just one more time, putting it on these trend lines over here. Let's go to like the 2 hour. So we got 2 hour Stokes crossing down right now, or they're kind of like flailing around. So not really, I wouldn't put too much on that. 2 hour RSI just getting it above the neutral zone, but again, neither bullish nor bearish. 3 hour over here, 3 hour Stokes are kind of headed. 3 hour Stokes are getting some pretty and crazy momentum up, but price action's not acting well over here. It is holding the 21, so I do like that, but must defend this area. Really must defend 6,300. If you lose 6,300, that's really going to call into question a lot of things. If you start closing dildos back below there, it's just, to me, I don't think. This is not how I want to see the market shifting rally be started. I want to see a swift move, one of those ones that doesn't give you really a second chance to be buying this area. It's one of those neck minutes type things, which I don't even know what the fuck that means, but it makes sense. So we got the we got 8 hour RSI over here using the bear, kind of rejection the bearish zone. So I like that. Sorry, this 4 hour RSI. But again, I don't like how we've given up the yellow 21 exponential. I put, again, my sort of personal way of doing this. I mean, it's not like I'm the only person who does this, but the way that I learned how to do technical analysis, I'm most comfortable with doing exponentials as that's essentially what I've learned from masters who have done this for 30, 40 years. And I just don't like this setup so far as it kind of stands. 8 hour over here. 8 hour doesn't look too bad. Using the 10 simple, perhaps have support, but again, you really don't want to give up this area. I really don't want to see this thing close any higher level dildos below 6,300 essentially. Other than that, 12 hour over here, 12 hour over here, still headed down on the Stokes, and RSI is back above the exponential, so I do like that. But again, no major levels being taken out. So to kind of wrap up this talk, as long as you're above, as long as you're above 61.50, I don't think it's appropriate to really be holding or at least for me, it's not appropriate to be holding directional positions. The next resistance to deal with is the one that we kind of tapped on yesterday around 63.60 area, 63.50. And our next support is around 62.80ish area. If you do lose 62.80, I don't see anything holding you up from 62.50, and that just start to look really, really bad by the nature of it, just another failed area. But of course, until 61.50 breaks, don't really have too much to do. Although if you did come back down and test this area, probably not going to bode too well. I'd imagine it just wouldn't look too good. But hey, until you actually formally break it, again, you already know where I'm going with that. By the same token, if you do break above 63.50, then you got 64.50 to deal with. If you break that area, then yes, there would technically be a little bit right around here, 66.30, but I do think that you'd give a formal test to 67.50, which again would be the upper resistance of the greater descending triangle. And if Bitcoin can break above there, we'll be doing something that it hasn't done in the last 11 months. So that would be a change behavior, and that'd be pretty damn cool. Because maybe, just maybe, might have to change my tune. But for now, that's what I'm thinking. Those are my thoughts. And I hope that this one finds you well. Hope that you're having a great 1st of November. And again, for all the people in the Technical Analysis program, I want to remind you, yes, the options program is available to you, and I'm happy to give you a discount. Please just reach out to me on Discord or email. I'm really sorry that email didn't get out to everyone. I don't know what happened. Again, I hope that everyone has the same information. So, again, my apologies for that, because I've been getting a lot of messages about that, like, hey, where is my email? Sorry, I don't know what happened, man. I don't know what happened, but hey, if you want that access, just reach out to me. I'm happy to take care of you as soon as possible. So that's going to do it for today, and I'll see you on a live stream near you soon. Take care.